being honored at Harvard Stadium today, and he was the ceremonial coin tosser. And Harvard winning the toss as maybe Murph put a little something extra on that coin. So the Crimson winning that toss, electing to defer. They will kick off to Princeton, and the Tigers will have the game's first offensive possession. We are ready to go on a championship Saturday here at Harvard Stadium. Ivy League matchup between the Crimson and the Tigers. And we'll have to wait just a little bit longer as the ball goes off the tee, and that's a storyline to watch out for, Tyler. Very windy today.
Yeah, you get an early indication right there, and this is a Princeton team as well. They utilize 2 kickers, but the wind is really going here today. How much will that affect the special teams units of both these teams?
Kenny Jordan is back to receive the kickoff, and it will sail over his head and all the way out of the end zone for a touchback. Another indication as to how strong Kieran Corr's leg is and what the wind is doing today. So we'll get a look at the Princeton offense and the junior quarterback from Hawaii, Blaine Hippa, who will make his 5th start of the season. He missed the Howard game with an injury. Very athletic, a guy with all the tools. Numbers-wise, it hasn't looked as good for him this year. He's got 4 touchdown passes, 11 interceptions to go along with a touchdown run, but certainly a guy that Harvard's defense will have to be ready for his athleticism and his arm talent.
Yeah, super athletic, able to extend plays, get out of the pocket. So for Harvard, it's about, with your front 4, trying to keep him contained.
First ball goes to Darion Murphy, the running back, and he won't go anywhere. Princeton, with the running game this season, is last in the Ivy League at 114 yards a game. That puts them at 98th out of 123 FCS programs. Offensively, this is one of the Tigers' storylines this season. They've struggled, and getting Hippa involved with his first season as the starter has been part of that story. On the end around, they get it into the hands of the talented wideout, A.J. Barber, and he cuts his way up for 11. And a first down for the Tigers. A.J. Barber, a guy that everybody on Harvard's defense has circled.
He is the Scott Woods for Princeton, the guy that you'll see in jet sweep motion, a guy who's a playmaker. Have to get him the ball, get his momentum rolling. Can make a lot of plays, set him up in the slot 5'9", and churns for a first down.
He is the son of the former New York Giants running back Tiki Barber, and he's coming off a game in which he caught 3 passes for 42 yards on a Friday night win against the Brown Bears. That was a 29-17 victory at Princeton Stadium. Most complete performance of the season as a handoff goes straight up the middle for Murphy. Part of a 3-headed running back monster. One of those heads will not be available today in Ethan Clark. John Volker was questionable coming in. He is the traditional starting tailback, the brother of Charlie Volker, and they hope to see him involved at some point today as well.
A big storyline, as it always is, just to battle the line of scrimmage so far. Good push up front from this Harvard 4-down lineman set.
On 2nd and 8, the lefty Hippa's pass is broken up. Ty Bartram there on the coverage. It was intended for Joey Wassler, and a 3rd and 8 upcoming for Princeton.
Well, that is Ty Bartram always being in the right spot, always being able to snuff out plays. A little hitch there over the middle, and Bartram comes down from his safety level to break it up.
Should be a fun matchup when he gets matched up with A.J. Barber, a couple of sons of former NFL players. Might be running through that secondary together.
This is where Harvard defensively wants Princeton. Obvious passing situations, making Blaine Hippa beat them with his arm.
3rd and 8, need to get to the 46-yard line. Hippa has time, now steps up, and he will not get there. He'll get to the 44-yard line, 2 yards shy of where he needed to get to as Harvard collapsed. And so Hippa, a guy who is a threat to run, doesn't get quite enough. Needed 8, got 6.
Yeah, an issue sometimes when the defensive ends are both able to get penetration. It can break down the pocket, and Hippa is a guy who can tuck it and run. Did it right there. Not enough. Needed 8, got 6.
Harvard really collapsed on Hippa. So after the initial first down, out Brady Clark comes to punt. He was an honorable mention All-Ivy punter a year ago. And the very dangerous Scott Woods is standing back at his 18 to receive. Good carry on this punt inside the 10, but it takes a Harvard bounce into the end zone, and the Crimson will take over at the 20-yard line. Tyler, what are you? 13-1 touchdown to interception ratio, and he's been great these last 2 weeks in particular. Woods again, and he wriggles his way up to the line to gain. It's a 10-yard pickup on couple of passes worth 26 yards to the senior from Virginia.
Set up screen, and what a block by Seamus Gilmartin. It was 3-on-3 on the far side of the field. quickly out. Both guys win their matchups and allow for Scott Woods to get 10.
See, the running back, Exavea Bascon, is starting. That's because Shane McLaughlin, the Harvard captain, not available for the second straight week. He's missed 3 out of the last 4 with a couple of different injuries. Craig stepping up, fires right, caught by Cooper Barkate. He's quickly met and spun down at midfield. On the tackle, it's Evan Haney getting the nod today, the sophomore from Chattanooga, Tennessee. And it's a pickup of 5 yards. It's 2nd and 5 for the Harvard offense.
Yeah, with this zone defense, that soft coverage, off coverage, you're going to allow for those completions to Cooper Barkate, because we saw it against Holy Cross. When they switched to man, Cooper Barkate took things over in that last drive. He is a guy that demolishes man coverage.
First carry for Exavea Bascon, and he gets a good push. He will end up being about 1.5 yards shy of the first down. They mark him down right at the 45-yard line of Princeton. Crimson need to get to the 44, but Bascon, Harvard's leading rusher, averaging 4.3 yards a rush. Only ran for 31 yards last week against Holy Cross. As we take a look at the Princeton starting lineup, this defense, the strength, as we mentioned early on, is the pass defense, and Harvard testing them early.
Yeah, bring back a lot of veterans in the secondary, which allows your front seven to do some more things, knowing that the defense is going to hold up.
Charles DePrima in the game at quarterback, and he hands off to Bascon, plunges forward to get enough or close to the first down. They do officially signal. Todd Boyd, the referee, says he has the first down, and that's our first look at the other quarterback who started last year in New Jersey against the Tigers. He will get into the game and at times be on the field with Craig. This is certainly something that Princeton fans have grown accustomed to, 2 quarterbacks on the field at the same time.
Yeah, Bob Serace joked it's almost where's Waldo? You always have to find where Charles DePrima is. They have utilized him in so many different situations, in the backfield, as a quarterback, lined up in the line of scrimmage, snapping the ball in the slot, so need to be mindful of where 16 is.
And on cue, he is right on Jaden Craig's hip. 2 quarterbacks in the game. The pass goes in his direction. It's caught by DePrima, and he'll get ridden down, the New Jersey native, to the 35-yard line. He and Craig are both natives of the Garden State. And in fact, Charles' younger brother is a part of the Princeton program, a freshman wide receiver, although doesn't figure to be a part of the action today for Princeton.
Yeah, it'll be about bragging rights come holiday time here in this game. But Charles DePrima, you see, he's really enjoyed this position. Went with the 2 gloves there out of the backfield. Now take it off. Now playing quarterback.
He has Bascon to his right, and he gives it to him. Bascon makes a man miss, gets the edge inside the 30, and he's shoved out of bounds at the 21-yard line. Exavea Bascon showing good explosion and evasiveness to get another Harvard first down.
Well, it's obviously a big hole in the backfield without the captain, Shane McLaughlin, but Exavea Bascon has been incredible filling that void. 99 yards against Cornell. He's really enjoying being the lead back. He was a guy who got a lot of time last year, which is uncommon for a first year in the Ivy League.
He was a Division V Super Bowl MVP for Swampscott High. Division V, the smallest division in Massachusetts high school football, so a little bit overlooked when it came to recruiting circles. He gets the ball again, this time up the gut, and he will get inside the 20. Small gain of 3. 2nd and 7 here for the Harvard offense, which has matriculated this ball from their own 20 now inside the Princeton 20.
Yeah, getting the run going. Good balance here on this opening drive. And Bob Surrey said to us as well when we talked to him this week, he said, this is a Harvard offensive line we wish we were able to face week 1 or 2. This is a group starting to get some cohesion, starting to put things together, getting better and better every week.
It's a Tiger team that's given up 150 yards every game they've played. They gave up over 200 yards against Columbia in their Ivy loss. It was a game where they just got worn down. They dealt with so many injuries on defense early in the season. 2nd down, Craig, his pass is over Caden Oderman. It might have been tipped. So it's 3rd down on the first incompletion for Craig today.
Yeah, you think it maybe was just the way that Jaden Craig has been so efficient offensively. Another look here. Oderman over the middle as they had cleared out this side of the field. And he just sailed on him a little bit. But how about Jaden Craig? And the game against Cornell, we said, was his best, 20 for 27. Then really one-ups himself going 20 for 25 against Holy Cross. He is really starting to dial in and getting better and better.
Yeah, 77% completion rate over his last 2 games. 4 for 5 to start this game. On 3rd down, Craig goes to the end zone. It's Oderman. Did he haul it? No signal. Touchdown. Caden Oderman, what a grab. That's his first score of the season, and Harvard caps off a perfect opening drive.
And a great catch as well, fading away, and they're going to have to see where his back landed. But just a great job to pull it down. Caden Oderman is a guy.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown. The previous play is under further review.
Yeah, all scoring plays are reviewed, but it's going to be about where does he come down. He makes the catch, looks like he survives, but is that initial point of contact out of...
He was a physics professor who graduated from Princeton, who got a job teaching at Harvard. We'd be celebrating that, but because it's sports, it becomes a little bit more complicated. Andy said that, he had a lot of friends good-naturedly rib him. Others were like, how could you do this to us? Of course, there was some consternation on the Harvard side. We're hiring a Princeton man to come in to take the job, but he is so well-liked by everybody who's worked with him and who knows him on a personal level that he's been a great representative for Harvard, and obviously was for Princeton for the 12 years he was associated with the football program.
A degree is a piece of paper. It's about what kind of leader he is, what kind of man he is, and you just see the way that he has climbed this ladder. And Bob Serace talks so highly about him. He was obviously the most hireable guy in the room. Everything he did, the two best abilities are availability and reliability, and Andy Orrick was that for Princeton. And just like Bob Serace, took a lot of different steps, different levels of football, different position groups to get where they are, but he has absolutely earned, and Bob Serace said, football's not a charity. We don't hire people just to hire them. Andy Orrick has earned everything he's gotten in his career.
And he's got the little nod to his predecessor, Tim Murphy, with the camo Harvard hat. That was a giveaway today at Harvard Stadium, and as we saw, Coach Murphy in the house. We'll be hearing from him in not too long. Second Princeton drive. Picked up a first down on the initial drive before punting, and a handoff goes for a short gain by John Volker, senior from Fairhaven, New Jersey. Mentioned his older brother Charlie was not only a running back but a star sprinter at the Ivy Heps. John, maybe not quite the same top-end speed, but perhaps a little bit better rounded overall in terms of his pass-catching game than his older brother Charlie. As we get movement on the line, as Hippa scrambles out, throws deep downfield toward Kalela. He grabs it at the 40-yard line, but it was out of bounds.
There was no flag thrown, so they're saying he didn't break the neutral zone here. As you'll see, the defensive end, that movement in Alex DeGreek, but just looks like a stumble, and it threw off Blaine Hippa a little bit on this snap. He dropped it, and that's what we're talking about a little bit. This ends up getting into the hands of Kalela, but tight throws, triple coverage, that's been an issue sometimes this year. That time it got over the head of Ty Bartram. That's not going to happen all afternoon.
3rd and 7. Princeton looking for a little bit of forward momentum. That's Barber in motion. Hippa has Volker in the backfield. Pocket starts to break down. Hippa decides to use his legs. He's going nowhere. Erased by the cornerback, Austin Jake Guillory. Only got to the 29. It's a gain of 1, and Princeton will be forced to punt on its second consecutive drive.
Austin Jake Guillory doesn't bite in that little fake there from Hippa, lowers the shoulder. And how big has he been this year? I mean, this is already a Harvard secondary that has had so much experience, a lot of big name guys back, but Austin Jake Guillory has really carved out a role for himself. That's tackle number 34 this year for him.
Guy who just loves playing the game, and they're really excited about his future. Snap was a little bit off the mark, but getting it away is Brady Clark. And a chance to return from the 20. Woods trying to evade 3 Tigers. He gets out of 1 tackle, reverses field. Scott Woods putting a lot of work in to pick up 6 yards on the punt return. And Harvard will take over officially at the 25-yard line. Makes the catch here at the 36-yard line. That looked like the same exact play they ran to Scott Woods on their first play from scrimmage.
You're absolutely right, and that's what you have to do against this zone coverage. Just utilize the sidelines. That's what they use with Woods. This time it's Barcade, Caden Oderman, corner of the end zone in this cover 2, cover 4. They go high up the field, and that sideline is open.
Malik Frederick in the game in the backfield at running back. That's where Craig shows off his arm strength in this wind throwing across the field. He's got time, throws downfield, just off the mark, and it's nearly intercepted. It was off the hands of the receiver and nearly picked off by Torian Roberts, who already has 3 picks this season, and he had nothing but the end zone in front of him.
This was easily 6, and he was thinking about that before he completed the catch. You know, sometimes Cooper Barkate, when you tip it up, you keep things alive. If you don't have a chance to make a play, that's the last thing you want to happen. And, yeah, just caught in 2 minds right there was Torian Roberts. That could have easily been a house call.
Instead, it's a harmless incomplete pass. 2nd and 10 from the 36. It's Frederick to the outside and burrows his way close to the 40-yard line. A pickup of 4 yards for the tailback from Roselle, Illinois, who was Harvard's leading rusher last week, 41 yards on the ground. 2nd straight week. Again, no Shane McLaughlin, so it's going to be a lot of Bascon and Frederick, maybe mixed in with guys like Isaiah Bay or Maddox Reed.
Well, that old adage, whenever a cornerback drops a pass, that's why they're not a wide receiver. Yeah, one of those times there for Harvard running outside the tackles. They did well mixing things up on that first drive.
Harvard has 3 wide receivers and the tight end that's in motion right now, Seamus Gilmartin. On 3rd and 6 from the 40. Craig dances away from pressure at his feet, eyes downfield. He's looking for Gilmartin. He hauls it in, out of bounds, close to the 10. Nearly 50 yards on the connection from Craig to Gilmartin. Harvard in business in the red zone again.
You usually don't find your tight ends 40 yards down the field with this kind of separation, but that's just the type of athlete that Seamus Gilmartin is. You see Jaden Craig just keeps those eyes downfield. Scott Woods thought that was for him at first.
It's Woods on the outside, around the edge, and he gets in. Flags pop out. For now, it's a touchdown. But this might be coming back on a hold or a pass interference.
Yeah, it's going to be holding. It looks on Cooper Barkate, who was setting the edge there. Just got to hold outside of the shoulder pads.
Offense, number 18. 10-yard foul. First down.
2 officials had flags pop out as Harvard tried to hurry up after the long gainer. Sending them back to the 20-yard line.
Yeah, see Barkate, just that extra tug right at the end.
They'll actually mark it 10 yards from where the foul occurred, so it won't be at the 20. It's at the 14-yard line. And a 1st and goal here for Harvard. Frederick in the backfield. They fake it to him. Looking for the end zone. It's caught. Touchdown, Barkate. 2nd touchdown pass for Jaden Craig. And 11 minutes into the game, the Harvard offense is 2 for 2 in touchdown drives.
Deja vu all over again, that quick out route. This zone coverage, you can't have cornerbacks that are on an island by themselves, and this is too easy right now for the Crimson, utilizing the sidelines. It's been wide open. Princeton needing to make an adjustment defensively.
Penalty. No harm, no foul for Harvard, as Kieran Core with the point after.
It's been the exact opposite here today. So instead of the Tigers racing out to a lead, early hole to dig out of, and just imagine how different this start would be if Torian Roberts on that tip pass from Cooper Barkate is able to house it.
Kieran Core will kick it away, back to receive. In addition to Kenny Jordan, they have another running back in Christian Lynch. And once again, this one will clear everybody, takes a bounce in the end zone, and Princeton will start at the 25-yard line.
It's about 1st and 2nd down right now for Princeton. Need to get some chunk plays together, get in 3rd and manageables, because right now they've gotten themselves in obvious passing situations that have broken down. It's been quarterback runs by Blaine Hippa both times that have not yielded enough. So far so good for this Harvard defense.
Right now, Harvard is outgaining Princeton 165-23. So Blaine Hippa coming off his first win as a starter against Brown. He was 15 for 26 through the air in that game. Throws it over the middle and wide open. Luke Colella gets banged down, but not before getting to the 41-yard line. Pickup of 16. Tackle made by Ty Bartram, and a good drive starter for the Tigers.
Yeah, one of those little option routes there where if it's in zone coverage, safeties sit back. Just a quick little hitch, get the ball to them. If the safeties were to cut down, you can tuck it and go.
It was interesting talking with Bob Surace, who comes from an offensive background, about Hippa. They love the athleticism, says it's really about the game slowing down for him and coaches trying to not put him in tough positions. A lot of the interceptions are not necessarily his fault as he hands the ball off to Murphy. Good burst, and he'll get knocked down at the 48-yard line. Says that, sometimes there are some veteran players who've made mistakes, and the mistake gets amplified. It looks like a quarterback mistake, but it's really not on him.
There's tipped passes, there's miscommunication. So, yeah, interceptions aren't always created equal. It's not just a solo quarterback stat. Yes, there's been some passes, especially in the goal line, he would like back. Watch this trip to the right here. Bunch formation for Princeton after a couple of positive plays to start this drive.
Nobody in the backfield with Hippa as Damian Henderson shows blitz and then backs off. Now Hippa will make his way for a first down before tackling down at the 45-yard line of Harvard. Henderson gets there, so when you see the quarterback with nobody in the backfield and a guy who is a running threat, and the defense has to keep in mind that this might not be a pass, even though it looks like it is based on formation.
Good job on the snap count as well. His eyes looked right to that left side. If Damian Henderson was going to come on that blitz, which was picked up pre-snap, he's going to get the ball out quickly that way. When Damian Henderson dropped back in coverage, just take the 2 yards and move the sticks.
Best Princeton drive of the day. They've penetrated Harvard territory for the first time. Everybody bunched up for Hippa. Back to pass. Cornerback blitz. Hippa gets out of it and scrambles forward, falling inside the 40. Great escapability by the junior from Hawaii.
That's why when you watch him on tape, you just see that there are the tools there for him. Ultra athletic. For a lot of guys, this play is blown up in the backfield for a loss of 5. He's able to shrug past Damian Henderson, turn a negative into a positive.
Hippa is from the island of Oahu. He played at Chandler High School in Arizona after he played at Campbell High School in Hawaii. So he finished out his high school career playing in the mainland. Got some really big-time commitment opportunities, as this run by Darion Murphy is good enough for a first down, and he still pushes forward all the way to the 30-yard line. 10-yard run. Looked like that was going to be over right at the marker, but he kept pushing.
Yeah, pre-snap motion. This gets Jack Como over to this near side as a lead blocker, sets the edge for him and able to tuck it upside.
Remember last week, Harvard was gashed on the ground against Holy Cross. They ceded nearly 250 yards with no big runs. It was all 7, 8 yards at a time, which was what made it surprising when Holy Cross went for 2 at the end that they went to the air.
Sometimes stats can be deceptive. They weren't last Saturday.
Hippa looking deep. He's got Kalela, who makes the grab. Ridden out of bounds inside the 5. Big play. Luke Kalela, the senior from Wexford, PA, all the way down to the 3-yard line on a 27-yard pickup.
This ends up being over the shoulder. This is a very tough catch to make for Luke Kalela. Still having to get some separation and look for the ball over the shoulder, but dropped perfectly by Blaine Hippa. And drive that Princeton needed. They'd extended it. They've gotten some first downs. It's been a good mix for the Tigers.
Now into the red zone. They've scored on 56% of red zone chances with a touchdown as Kalela the target, but threw it a little bit too far.
Yeah, Gavin Shipman, they were going his way for Kalela again. Good to have Gavin Shipman back if you're Scott Larkey in this Harvard defense. Although there is plenty of depth in the secondary, just another one of those experienced guys back in the mix.
2 seconds remaining in the quarter. And Princeton looking to cash in before the end of the quarter. They've got Jack Camo, a tight end, in the backfield with Hippa. And a timeout taken by Harvard.
First charge timeout of the half. Harvard, 30 seconds.
So Crimson obviously didn't like the look, and they'll have a chance to talk things over. Luke Kalela, we talked about what a threat he is. Super explosive, one of the faster guys on Princeton. Going in his direction again, and not surprising that they would be trying to feed him and A.J. Barber a heavy diet of passes.
Yeah, especially what we saw last year from Luke Kalela as an Ivy. All honorable and just trying to build on that momentum from last week against Brown. His best game of the season, 6 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown. Had that big play of 60 yards. And there's so much talent around Blaine Hippa. So just about trusting these guys in Barber, Colella. Have seniors there, senior running back at John Volker. So trust the skilled positions. Know that these guys will make plays for you. Don't always have to try and force it.
Got a similar formation with Camo in the backfield, this time on Hippa's right. Colella set up at the top of your screen. Match up one-on-one with Shipman. Hippa running himself, dives forward, touchdown, Princeton. 3-yard scamper, second rushing touchdown of the season for Hippa. And on the final play of the first quarter, a bit of life for the guys in orange.
And they needed it, and it
Pulling on the
started
field is
early.
a touchdown.
They needed a type of drive like this. Can't let Harvard just run away with this game early. Great response from Princeton. Started with a couple of good plays on this drive. The big completion to Colella. They ran the ball well, and good methodical drive for the Tigers. And even after Harvard calling that timeout, they were expecting the quarterback run, having Camo, a big tight end, as a lead blocker, but unable to stop Blaine Hippa.
Waiting for confirmation from replay, and it is confirmed. Touchdown for Hippa. And on for the point after. It's Sam Masick, one of two place kickers that Princeton uses. And Masick's kick is good. So Princeton responds
Immediate
after
timeout on the
Harvard
field.
scored on its
That's it,
first two
first quarter.
offensive drives. A little bit of life for the Tigers. Blaine Hippa cashing in and having the Harvard lead. In 1953, so a win today would match the Tigers' longest ever win streak against Harvard. So the Crimson looking to avoid that for sure. Got off to a good start. There was so much, to use a Princeton term, juice coming into this game from Harvard's perspective, as there always is, but maybe even just a little bit more when you consider Andy Orrick and his Princeton background and the recent history between these two programs. What great games they play, and it looks like we're on our way to another one today as Harvard will take it on the fair catch at the 25-yard line.
We'll see what kind of adjustments that this Princeton defense makes as Harvard offense 2 for 2, but for both these teams. Yes, it's a rivalry. Energy is good. Motivation is good to a degree. Don't let it be too much. Don't let it take you out of your game. Don't try and be a hero just because you feel you got to prove a point. Still stay in your scheme.
Jaden Craig to pass. First play of drive number 3. Gets a lot under it to Cooper Barcade, who scored the touchdown out to the 48-yard line, and a smooth pickup of 23 yards. Boy, Craig has had time, and he has had opportunities downfield.
Another out route again, and these Harvard wide receivers are just feasting on the sidelines. And Jaden Craig as well, putting it right on their numbers. That's where Jaden Craig has made so many jumps in his game, those medium passes.
Craig is now 10 of 12 passing for over 150 yards, now 10 of 13 on incompletion number 3 of the day. Looking for Charles DePrima over on the right side. DePrima from Oakland, New Jersey. Jaden Craig from Montclair, New Jersey.
That time it was just the pressure of Jackson Ford getting into the backfield immediately, which forced Jaden Craig to make a quick throw, which was not accurate for DePrima.
2nd and 10 for Craig and company. He's just playing at such a high level in terms of his accuracy, decision-making. Leadership has taken a step forward as well. It's now been almost a full calendar year that he has been the starter for the Crimson as Exavea Bascon burrows his way to midfield, and a 3rd and 8 upcoming here for Harvard as Princeton a chance to force a first Harvard punt of the day.
Yeah, this is a huge play upcoming for this Princeton defense, trying to build on the momentum that the offense got them from their last drive. Watch at this part of the field as well for the Crimson. You get a good chunk play here on 3rd down. We've seen Andy Orrick be aggressive going for it on 4th, trying to extend drives.
Crimson have 3 wide receivers and a tight end, Seamus Gill-Martin, but we've already seen the type of downfield ability he has. Caught a 50-yard pass in the first quarter. Low snap. Craig has to pick it up off the turf. Hucks toward the sideline. It's intercepted. Picked off, and Princeton gets the turnover. Peyton Talley with the interception. His first career pick. And
Anything
the
on the field
Tigers
is an
take over at the
interception.
47.
And it was open. That out route again, sideline was open, but Craig was under pressure as he throws this. This influences the throw a little short. Princeton gets the turnover they were looking for, building on momentum.
You know, you retired at an early enough age where you've got so much to do. What have you been up to in your time?
Well, I still work for the college, and I stay in touch with alumni and a lot of football alumni. I had a great opportunity to be at the UVA Louisville game. We had 2 starters on both teams, and before that, I was down at a Thursday night Ryan Fitzpatrick game, Miami Dolphins, with some of our former players, alumni. So it's not heavy lifting. It's something I love to do, and you want to stay connected.
Ryan Fitzpatrick here today, so it's great to be honoring 3 former Ivy League champions, the 74 team, the 04 team, and the 14 team. I'm sure great to catch up with them in this environment, too.
Oh, it's great. And those guys also went in the Hall of Fame. I mean, you look at Ryan Fitzpatrick, in my humble opinion, the best quarterback to ever play in the Ivy League. And then Clifton Dawson, leading rusher in Ivy League history, 4-time first-team All-Ivy. Those guys make you good coaches.
When did it hit you? Was it spring ball? Was it the lead up to fall? Just how different was it? How weird was it leading up to a football season knowing you weren't going to be on the sideline?
The part I miss most, predictably, is the day-to-day with the players and the coaches. But I think the reality is that, when you're fortunate enough to be in the industry as long as I have, I was a Division I head coach at 3 different schools for 37 years. It just was the right time. And a small piece of it, too, was, as you guys know, Buddy Tevens and I were best friends literally since 1968. And, having been in each other's weddings, godfather of each other's firstborn, we always talked about going out together. And I thought that it was fitting that we honor that.
Princeton taking over after the interception, and they're going to go for it here on 4th down from the Harvard 48-yard line. They need to get to the Harvard 44-yard line. We're joined by former Harvard head coach Tim Murphy. He's getting a chance to watch Harvard-Princeton from a little bit of a different angle. See if Princeton does end up going for this. The play clock, they do a little pooch punt. So HIPAA, with nobody back to receive.
Go, go, go.
There is rooting interest in the booth, and I think that's excused for our Princeton fans who are watching.
I think the reality is that, obviously Yale is our biggest game, and Princeton's probably a tie for that, and I say that on many levels. Part of his respect for their program.
Number 81.
Part of his
10-yard penalty. Second down.
A long rivalry, and the combination of those things is you don't have to get our kids excited to play these guys.
Holding penalty on Seamus Gilmartin sends Harvard back 10 yards and erases a great play from Scott Woods, and that must be the bittersweet part about not coaching is that, Scott Wood's a guy with so much energy who must have been just an absolute blast to coach, and you're just experiencing it a little bit of a different way. But one thing that every team that Harvard plays, every opposing coach talks about the quality of your players, both as football players and from what they know about them, from potentially recruiting them. A lot of these guys are being recruited by these other Ivy League schools. And I know that's something that you really took pride in, is the character of players in addition to the great football skill that they obviously had.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed recruiting. I put that in the context of, especially in the Ivy League, you're recruiting such high character kids, team 1 through 8 in our league. And, you had a great opportunity to have life-changing experiences for your kids to go to an Ivy League school, to go to Harvard, and to see them blossom. And it's amazing. Sometimes you think, well, maybe this kid is a good player, and, their character is such that they just somehow will themselves to becoming an absolute great one. And, Ryan Fitzpatrick is that guy. His unbelievable ability to motivate his teammates and to somehow step it up was incredible.
And speaking of Ryan Fitzpatrick, now Shane McLaughlin, the first offensive captain of Harvard since Ryan Fitzpatrick. You saw him last year take a big step forward in the offense, but how much did you see him grow last year as a leader?
There's a big play. Seamus Gilmartin inside the
Forgive me,
40-yard
who are you
line.
talking
Second
to?
and 8.
You're talking about
Shane McLaughlin, just last year, how much
Shane. Shane was always a great leader. He came in as a tough guy, a Jersey kid, set a great example for everybody from the very beginning. And defensive guys, not surprisingly, when you have only one, it ends up being a defensive guy. So to have it be him, the last guy was Ryan Fitzpatrick, says a tremendous amount about his character and the respect that his teammates have for him. He's been banged up a bit, but he's a tremendous athlete and even better leader.
It was a 15-yard pickup by Maddox Reed. You mentioned he's a Jersey kid. How difficult was it recruiting, getting these guys out of New Jersey when surely a lot of them were recruited by the team in Princeton? Craig get going for Gilmartin. A touchdown! 21 yards! And what a comeback from the interception. Craig goes to the end zone, and boy, that's got to warm your heart as the former tight ends coach.
The result of the
Seamus
play is a
Gilmartin score.
touchdown.
Well, I'm glad to see
There was a
we're
substitution,
still seeing a lot
defense,
of
number 17.
12 personnel with
Penalty
guys like Seamus
decline.
Gilmartin and
Touchdown.
Ryan Osborne, and those guys have probably exceeded our expectations of where they'd be at this stage of the game.
And it's amazing given the tight ends that you had last year in Tim Dowd and Tyler Neville. You're starting to wonder, what was left over, and are they still going to have the magic with you no longer coaching that position group? That question has been answered and then some this season.
No question about it. I think our guys have done a good job evaluating and recruiting, and we don't get guys that are just going to block. We need guys to be able to do everything, and these kids certainly seem like the next generation.
Media timeout on the.
And on the other side, Bob Surace took over the first couple of years for Princeton. Were similarly slow to build up that momentum, and boy, he got the Tigers humming in a way that they really hadn't on a consistent level since Coach Surace was playing in the middle of the offensive line in those late 80s teams for Princeton.
It's all about just making incremental improvements, and that's what happens in the first couple of years. You start setting your culture, start setting the expectations on a day-to-day, get a couple of recruiting classes that match that expectation, and never look back.
So the Crimson responded to the interception. The pick was just the second of the season thrown by Jaden Craig, and Harvard marched down the field 75 yards and into the end zone on the 21-yard toss to Seamus Gilmartin. Princeton, after scoring on a short field, converting on a fourth down, or unable to convert on the fourth down on their last drive, but they scored prior to the interception. They will take over at the 25-yard line, and well, it's for Blaine Hippa, just trying to find the right guy open, it seems like, and get the offense really well oiled, which has been the issue this year for the Tigers.
And you have options, stacking on both sides right now, but you have options with the playmakers this Princeton team has to get the ball out quick.
Hippa tosses over the middle. Contact quickly comes as the pass is hauled in by Colella. Gain out to the 29-yard line. A pickup of 4 here for Princeton. The Tigers offensively last in the Ivy League in scoring, total yards, first downs per game, yards per play. It just has been unusual from where we've seen Princeton in previous seasons, and so a little bit of a learning curve to overcome with Blake Stenstrom, 2-year quarterback who did a tremendous job for Princeton the last 2 years. And Bob Surace says, I wish that I had gotten Hippa a little bit more playing time as a sophomore last year, as they get the ball into the hands of Colella, and he goes backwards. A loss of 3 yards as Harvard was all over the sweep.
Eric Little just got blocked into the Jets sweep, and he is just slowing the play down with his backside. It was little off balance, little unorthodox, but he was not taken out of the play with the block. He was blocked right into the play, and that completely slowed the momentum of this one. Another 3rd and long. This is where Princeton struggled in their first couple of drives when Blaine Hippa is in obvious pass situations.
3rd and 9. Tigers on 3rd down today, 0 for 3. And Darion Murphy in the backfield with the quarterback Hippa. Has time. He's going deep down the sideline, and it's intercepted. Ty Bartram picks it off, and he's on the move into Princeton territory down the sideline and shoved out at the 33-yard line.
Well, Harvard only rushes 3 right here. They drop 8 back in coverage, and this play was doomed from the get-go. Ty Bartram, the high safety up there, and you cannot float a ball into double coverage. It was good blanket coverage anyways. but it just hangs up there, and Ty Bartram, who has such a nose for the football, this is way too high. If the ball's out of your screen, good luck. You allow the safety to get over, and Ty Bartram always in the right spot.
Returns it 29 yards. It's the 4th career interception for Bartram, his first this season, and Harvard matches the interception that they threw with one of their own.
Sometimes you just have to live to see another day. You can't force it in that situation. You just tip your cap sometimes to Harvard. If the play's well covered, try and make something with it, but just chuck it up there, and now Harvard set up in your own zone.
They fake it to Bascon. Pocket collapses. Craig stays on his feet and goes down. It looked like he wanted to get rid of that ball. Wisely aided, even though it's a sack back at the 38-yard line.
Well, that's something that he's learned even week over week. We saw Holy Cross. You remember the play last week when Harvard was driving and he was under pressure, caught in two minds, and just kind of threw it backwards into no man's land. Much better job there by Jaden Craig to not force anything.
So Crimson need to get to the 21-yard line. Back at the 38, so 17 yards to pick up on 2nd down. Craig, right side, falling catch made by Scott Giuliano. And for Giuliano, it's his 3rd catch of the season. His catch against Cornell was his first since September of 2022. He missed most of last year with an injury. Last week caught an 11-yard touchdown against Holy Cross.
Charles DePrima back out there. This is usually the spot of the field where Harvard will be a bit more aggressive. Kieran Cord being called over on the sideline just in case. But this has been a spot where Harvard has thought about going for it on 4th down. With DePrima out there, you wonder if maybe get him in motion, try and get him the ball quick to make it 4th and manageable.
There he is in motion behind the quarterback. Craig throws it to him. DePrima on the move. He's got some of the fastest wheels in the Ivy League. He takes a couple of Tigers on a ride and gets close to the marker. Looks like he's going to be a yard shy, but a pickup of 9. And Harvard will think about going for it. It looks like they will.
That's the Charles DePrima difference. If he stopped right there at the 30 by Kayvon Miller, then you think about kicking the field goal, but he breaks one tackle. He is just so shifty out in space, and now it allows Harvard to go for it on 4th down.
DePrima stays in the game with Bascon to his left. He's got the H-back Ryan Osborne in there. Caden Kaufman in motion. DePrima keeps it, has the 1st down inside the 20. A burst forward for 4 by Charles DePrima. You know, you said, where's Waldo? Bob Sarace also said he was a little bit like Roy Kent from Ted Lasso. He's there, here, he's there.
Don't finish that.
Yeah.
Don't say all of it.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Let's finish it. Got a Princeton injury on the field. Looks like it is Jackson Ford who's coming off a great game last week against Brown. He had 7 tackles and a forced fumble, so Princeton trainers will look for incompletion here for Jaden Craig. You know, Bob Sarace said, I was surprised when I looked at the stats that he wasn't around 90% because it just feels like every pass he's thrown has been on the money.
Yeah, he has been so efficient as of late, just getting better and better. And all the incompletions we've seen really today have just been when Princeton has been able to create some pressure. This is a Princeton defense, 3-4, that has a good secondary, so it allows these linebackers to do a few different things, disguise pressure. You see it from Sekou Rowland.
Handoff Frederick, tied up. Sure-handed tackle made by the linebacker Rowland from Philadelphia, but went to Deerfield Academy out in western Massachusetts. He returned last week after missing the previous 3 games and was a big factor to get him back and get that linebacking core a little bit healthier because the injuries hit Princeton so hard going to the first game of the season against Lehigh.
And Bob Sarace said there was a point in this season when he looked to the sideline and said, where's my Mike linebacker? And there was just no one healthy in that unit. And the linebackers, especially in this 3-4, they are so important. They do so much in the run and the pass game. So to get them healthy has been a huge difference.
Trying to stop Harvard in the red zone on 3rd down to the end zone. It's Oderman. He can't turn around in time to make the play. Good coverage by the defensive backfield, the strength for Princeton. And Evan Haney forces the Harvard field goal unit to come out for the first time.
A couple guys in that area they might have been looking for, and The big thing here for Evan Haney, he turns around. He's looking at the ball, actively trying to play the ball. If he's not looking back at Jaden Craig, then you might have a say about PI with Caden Oderman being thrown off.
This is a 34-yard attempt with the wind whipping to the right as you see it here. Just the second attempt for Core, the first year from Winchester. And the kick is up, it's on the way, and it's good.
Timeouts as well, so if Princeton, you're thinking you can have to avoid a 2-for-1 here. Cannot give the ball back to Harvard with plenty of time to operate and let them control the rest of this half.
Hippa, option play, elects to pass it, goes to the right side. It's hauled in by the tight end Camo, keeps his feet and goes down across the 40. Mitchell Gonzer to take him down, but not before a 14-yard pickup to the 42.
This is a really nice orchestrated play here from Princeton. Little misdirection, fade the option play. He had some options against the grain, but just didn't rush it. Allowed the play to develop. Camo gets open, and Princeton a big play to move the sticks.
When you watch Princeton and you watch Hippa, you feel like, okay, I see all the tools. It's just got to come together, and sometimes that just takes some experience.
Just seasoning, getting more reps.
Dances out of trouble and throws it into the turf in the direction of the running back Volker.
When we talked to Andy Orrick at the start of the year about Jaden Craig and Mickey Fine as well, they said it's about taking the easy stuff. Giving, or what the defense gives you, you have to take. Make those small plays. Those small plays win games. And I think that's what Blaine Hippa, that's the next step for him, because he's got all the right tools. He's got the athleticism. He's got a good arm. He can throw on the run. It's just about tailoring that now, seasoning it, knowing when the plays are there, when you have to force it, and when you shouldn't.
2nd and 10 from the 42. Hippa wants to run with it. He is lassoed down and ridden down. Crimson getting some support from Josh Fedd, the defensive end. Sophomore from Baltimore ends up taking him down. That looked like it was going to go for a loss, maybe no gain. Instead, it's a 2-yard run, and it's 3rd down.
It's still even better for Harvard. Scott Larkey talked about it. The tackling last week was just not up to standard, so the Crimson just trying to get back to fundamentals, especially in open field. Don't always have to make the tackle. Just do enough to slow a guy down and wait for some support.
The word he used was terrible. Was not happy with the tackling. It has been better today. On 3rd and 8, Hippa scanning, throws over the middle, big catch, big hit by Bartram. And a flag comes in late after the catch was made by Jalen Gear. The Tennessee native picks up the 1st down. It looks like this will be additional yardage for a hit on the defenseless receiver.
This was a big pop and just an incredible job to even hold on to the ball after this contact. And Ty Bartram coming down from his safety position. The safeties have stayed high, so those are the routes that have been there for Princeton, especially when the middle of the field opens and the linebackers bring a little bit of pressure. They're taken out by the tight ends. Those little hitches, some dig routes there.
It's a 16-yard pickup.
The ruling on the field is a completed pass. Personal foul, targeting, defense, number 21. The previous play is under.
Come in 20 years, but yeah, he really redefined the quarterback position at Harvard in the Ivy League, that dual threat ability and just how he carved out a career. 17 years, all the stops he made in his career, and he was beloved, a fan favorite everywhere he went.
Minute and a half to go. 1st and 10 from the Harvard 25. That last run by John Volker, who's had a limited workload here today. Hippa in trouble, on the move, pressure closing, and he'll just get rid of it. Shoveled that forward. He shot puts that out of bounds, avoids the intentional grounding by getting it past the line of scrimmage, and lives to fight another day.
Yeah, this play was well covered, rolling across his body, so this would have been a difficult throw regardless. But for Princeton, you know, this is what they needed. We said at the start of this drive. This drive started with 4.5 minutes left. March down the field, run some clock, and now you can kind of control things going into the half. The biggest goal for the Tigers outside of points was not allowing Harvard to be able to set up a big drive before the break.
On 2nd down, Hippa. Pressure up the middle, gets rid of it, and it's dropped right through the hands of John Volker. Eric Little was right there as well. We do have a flag. I wonder if this is going to be for a hit on the quarterback after the pass was thrown.
Holding, offense, Number 60. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
You miss all the shots you don't take, right?
It's because we're desensitized to it in football. You see a quarterback on the ground and a flag, yeah, it's a pretty good bet that it's usually a roughing the passer situation. I agree with you. When you were saying it, I nodded my head, but yeah, Holden, all of a sudden this drive's backing up out of field goal range, especially on a very windy day here. And you see Jacob Syke was just held back by Cooper Coors.
So that's a damaging penalty. Knocks Princeton back to the 35 and maybe out of field goal range. 2nd and 20. Pressure closing. Screen pass. Volker. He goes nowhere. Met by Brandon Smets and a host of Crimson. Harvard read that perfectly. And a timeout taken by Andy Orick with 57 ticks of the clock to go.
Second charge, timeout of the half. Harvard. Please put 59 seconds on the game clock. 59 seconds.
Now, this is a massive difference here because Harvard now stopped the clock, 59 seconds. If this is a missed field goal here, you have good field position.
To Mercer, ultimately falling in that game. 3rd and 18. Hippa steps up. On the move, it's tipped and caught near the 15-yard line. And it is going to be very close to a first down. Maybe a yard shy as it's pulled down by Jalen Gear, who took that big hit from Bartram earlier on the drive.
First
4th
charge,
and
timeout
1.
of the half. Princeton. 30 seconds.
Yeah, and this will give you an idea of just how open Jalen Gear is. As
Please put 44 seconds on the game clock. 44 seconds.
Yeah, because once again, Hippa able to extend the play, running up in the pocket, and it shows you how open that Garrett is, because the moment that ball is tipped, you can just completely wipe him out. It's no pass interference once the ball was touched, but Garrett was open and a fortuitous bounce for the Tigers.
So 4th and 1, game situation being what it is, Princeton looks like it's obviously going to go for it. They signaled that by calling the timeout. And as far as 4th downs, no team in the Ivy League has been more aggressive on 4th down than Harvard. Princeton 18th in the FCS, so in the top 20 out of 123 teams, going for it on average just over 2.5 times per game. As far as success goes, Princeton this season on 4th down is 5 of 14. That's 36% and 94th in the FCS, last in the Ivy League.
A tight coverage on the outside. Look for a run here.
Hippa does hand it off, and they have the first down to Volker. Puts his head down, blasts straight ahead, and Princeton will have a fresh set of downs from the 13-yard line. They do not call timeout, so it restarts after they move the chains. Can still pick up a first down, and now Harvard will use its final timeout to get a bit more settled on defense.
Timeout of the half. Harvard.
Yeah, because that was a unique setup in the backfield.
The game clock, please. 28.
Yeah, 2 guys flanked to the right of Blaine Hippa, but once again, this is exactly what Princeton needed. Long drive before halftime with Harvard getting the ball first. Now they can manage the clock however they want to, still with those 2 timeouts left in their pocket. So for Princeton as well, that 3rd and 18 where things were starting to back up, you had the incompletion compounding with the holding call, but they get a big play to stay positive on this drive. And now that you can really open up the playbook. 28 seconds, 2 timeouts with 13 yards. That's plenty of time.
But Bob Serace, fearless leader for the Tigers, graduate of the class of 1990, closing in on 100 career wins and 78-35 since starting 2-20 at Princeton. He always wears the camo hat. He's not just doing it as an homage to Tim Murphy. He's been wearing it just about every game for the last decade. 1st and 10, Hippa going to the left side. It's caught inside the 10 and spun down goes Barber. Timeout taken by Princeton as the pickup gets 6 of the 10 needed and the clock stops at 19 seconds.
Yeah, Austin J.
Second
Guillory.
time out of the half. Princeton. Please put 20 seconds on the game clock. 2-0.
Austin J. Guillory, he was on an island by himself over here. He had a couple of guys crossing his way. They decide to go underneath instead of taking a shot towards the end zone.
Well, Hippa trying to engineer a score here for the Tigers and get a little bit of positive momentum. You see the score 24-7, and in a Harvard-Princeton game for the last 7 or 8 years, that has been a very unusual score to see that. Games have been tight with the exception of 2 Princeton blowouts. Both were here at Harvard Stadium. 2017 and then in 2022. It's been a little while since Harvard has cleared itself comfortably from the Tigers, and they've lost 6 consecutive matchups. From the 7 on 2nd and 4, Hippa has time, goes to the end zone. His receiver fell down. He was looking for Joey Wassler, Cincinnati, Ohio native, sophomore, tumble, and it's 3rd down.
And this was 6 as well. He is open. Just see Ty Bartram a little bit late, was a little bit screened off it, and he is wide open. Turf Monster got him, and that is a big break for the Harvard defense.
Pass might have been a little bit behind him, which caused him to stop short. 3rd and 4 from the 7-yard line. Volker in motion. Hippa looking to the right. Bartram blitzes and sacks him. Ty Bartram, an interception and now a sack here in the first half.
The absolute last thing that Blaine Hippa can do there is take a sack. Princeton lucky they still have that timeout.
Time out of the half. Princeton, 30 seconds.
Well, his progression, he's looking to the right side, and by the time he turns, he does not have the ability to get away from Ty Bartram. You saw it on that first replay. His eyes are just so focused right side of the field, weak side pressure coming from Bartram, and a humongous play from the sure-handed safety.
And just as big of a review to make sure that he did not, in fact, get called for that targeting penalty earlier in the drive, so he had the opportunity to make that play. 15-yard loss. Smiles on the Harvard sideline, and it looks like it will be a field goal coming up here for Princeton. Jeffrey Sexton, who is the kicker they use for longer field goals, is coming out. The holder is Brady Clark, long snapper Luke Nepper. And this one will be a field goal attempt of 38 yards.
A loss of 15. So it was a chip shot coming up for Princeton. It's now going to be challenging in this wind.
Sexton's first attempt the last 3 weeks. The hold down and the kick is good from distance to get Princeton points before halftime. Cuts the margin to 2 touchdowns, and Princeton makes something of a drive that had a lot of good things going for it, but the big sack by Bartram prevented pay dirt.
You check
9. Sometimes that can be misleading. Not really in the case of this game. Harvard has outplayed Princeton to this point, but 2 touchdowns, the game is certainly still within reach for the Tigers, although Harvard will get the ball to start the second half.
And this is a Harvard team that knows that 14 points means nothing. They cannot get complacent here. There is a long way to go in this one. And how about Jaden Craig? You see the 251 passing yards? We've really praised him on some games he's had the past couple of weeks. Full games he's had 250 passing yards. And to get it in the first half just shows how easy it was for him at times.
Sexton's kickoff into the end zone, and Exavea Bascon wisely lets it go. Who are some of the players that you're going to be having an eye on here in this second half?
Well, for Harvard, stick with the tight ends and stick with the athletic tight end of Seamus Gilmar, and he goes for 3 catches, 101 in that first, and Ty Bartram has the interception, but other than that, he is in on every play. And how about Jalen Gear? He was really picked up in that last drive for Princeton, the drive they needed, and Sekou Rowland. This is a linebacking core for Princeton that has dealt with injuries. They're getting healthy. These 4 linebackers are so important to what they're trying to do defensively. It starts with Sekou Rowland.
Harvard begins the drive at the 25-yard line, and Jaden Craig a little confused with the play clock winding down. Harvard is going to get the snap off just in time and incomplete, in and out of the hands of Cooper Barkate. Now let's go down to the third member of our crew, Amanda Keene.
Thanks, guys. When I caught up with head coach Bob Sorace for Princeton. He said, we just have to keep fighting. They're playing exceptional right now, as in Harvard. They've made some plays. Really what they have to do is get them off the field. Now for Harvard, head coach Andy Orrick says they need to continue to play physical at the line of scrimmage so they can protect their quarterback and give him time. And they say on defense, they just have to tackle better, guys.
The meat and potatoes 5-yard run for Exavea Bascon. They mark him just shy of the 30-yard line. So third down coming up and an opportunity for Princeton to do what Bob Sorace was telling Amanda, get Harvard's offense off the field. They go quickly on third down. On the move, it's Barcade. He holds on to this one. A little slip, but not before picking up the first down. And Harvard has it out close to the 37-yard line.
If you let plays extend, if you don't get immediate pressure on Jaden Craig, if he has a clean pocket, eventually Cooper Barcade is going to get open. And a lot better job this week of exploiting that zone coverage, because last week, Holy Cross was able to slow him down up until that last drive when they switched to man. Looks a little bit more of a press front. Maybe some man coverage one-on-one, top of your screen.
Barcade and Craig's eyes grew 3 times bigger when they saw Holy Cross go to man at the end of last week's game. Exavea Bascon, they want to get going here. Keeps those legs moving and picks up another workmanlike pickup. He had 24 yards rushing to lead all Harvard runners in that first half. Maddox Reed had a 15-yard run to give him 17 for the game. But for the Crimson, one thing to note, the couple of wins that they've had this season where they've had big leads, or a couple of games, I should say. Last week against Holy Cross, led by a 27-7 score. They led by multiple scores against Brown. In both cases, the other team was able to come back and take the lead, and in Brown's case, get the win. Craig, dancing, trying to avoid pressure, falls down inside his own 30-yard line. That goes down as a big loss as he was chased down. I think it was A.J. Pickford who brought the pressure there. I don't know if he'll get credit for the sack, but Pickford, the back-to-back Rookie of the Week in the Ivy League, helping put Harvard in a deep hole.
Yeah, Jaden Craig tripped himself in the backfield, but yeah, influenced by Pickford. And that time better from Princeton, being able to get pressure, get Jaden Craig moving with only rushing 4, now showing some pressure.
They only rush 4. It's a screen pass. Scott Woods has a blocker in front, but chased down from behind. Only gets back to the original line of scrimmage. And Harvard will be forced to punt as they cannot convert on 3rd and 17.
Yeah, much better that time from Princeton. Yes, there was the drop from Cooper Barcade, but not allowing those big plays. You're fine with those completions. If out routes are only yielding 3 to 4 yards, those are positives. So Princeton, much better job not getting gashed down the field by the Harvard passing game.
First punt of the day for Sebastian Tasco. A.J. Barber back to receive. He is a dangerous return man. Tasco's punt will take a bounce close to the 30-yard line and roll inside of it by a nose. And Princeton will take Harvard out. We do have a flag on the play, so we'll wait and hear what the call is from Todd Boyd. Flag is back at the 39 of Harvard. Imagine this is going to be after the ball was
Holding.
punted.
Kicking team, number 86. That penalty will be added on to the end of the run. First down, Princeton.
That'll give the Tigers the schedule together and maximizes the drama. First play out of the timeout. Blaine Hippa gets crushed right back at the 40-yard line, and he was smothered by Jacob Syke. Syke, the defensive end from Sugar Land, Texas. 5th in the Ivy League in tackles for a loss. This goes as a tackle for no gain on the first down run by Hippa.
Yeah, empty backfield. Always have to look for Hippa calling his own number.
This time he fakes the handoff, fakes the pitch, drifts further back, and that's caught right back at the 40, this time by the tight end Wassler. 2 plays, no gain. Harvard has not been fooled too often defensively by a lot of the tricks of the trade that Princeton's offense has thrown at him.
Yeah, especially going back to that last one for Hippa. That's a situation if you're the Princeton offensive line, a designed quarterback run. Sometimes you just let the defensive ends get penetration, which allows a cleaner route forward.
Tigers looking to get to midfield. 3 down linemen for the Crimson. Hippa, left side, it's caught, and then swung down. Connor Holstein gets close to midfield, but stopped a yard shy. Holstein had the game-winning touchdown catch last year against Harvard. One of just 5 catches all season long. And on 4th and 1, the offense stays out there. Remember, they had a pooch punt in a similar spot on the field in the first half.
Yeah, trips to the top of your screen. Harvard scrambling over there with some coverage.
Play clock, plenty of time on it as everybody goes in motion. New play comes in from the sideline. Hippa has Volker in the backfield. He gives it to him. Volker has the first down. He stumbles across midfield to the 48. A 3-yard gain on 4th and 1.
Yeah, the linebackers creeping in. They were obviously expecting run here, but a great job by the Princeton offensive line to hold up. And Volker is able to break one tackle there. He might have been to the house. Everyone was so close to the line of scrimmage there for Harvard. You see Gonzer just creeping up, trying to time it. Bartram was beat to it, but just a hand tackled enough.
And Volker has tremendous speed. He tries to dance out of a tackle, can't get too far away from Harvard's Dominic Young-Smith, the senior defensive lineman. Pulls him down after a pickup of 2. Princeton, a team that, you think about all the great wide receivers, but they want to be a ground-first squad to open up those passing opportunities. In this game, they haven't had the consistent success running the football.
Yeah, points can be that old-school hard-nosed, run the ball, establish it.
Hippa to the outside. Wassler again. He has the first down and starting to see a little bit of rhythm develop here for Blaine Hippa.
Yeah, it was a go route by Matthew Mahoney, which got everyone to follow him down the sideline, and then you just take the underneath to Joey Wassler. 2 Harvard defensive backs followed the run from Mahoney up the field. That's why Wassler wide open.
Bob Saray says that Blaine Hippa has some similarities to Quinn Epperly, another left-handed quarterback that Princeton had in terms of his poise and pocket presence. He also has a little bit of Nolan Grooms, the great Yale quarterback, in him. Dumps it off, but just a little too far out of the hands of the running back, Volker. That was a big play coming if they connect.
Underneath route, it's there. Those are the throws that Blaine Hippa needs to make. Yes, there's been some issues in the game, the turnovers, those that are there open that you can just turn a simple underneath throw into 10-plus yards need to be there with consistency.
Princeton's defense did its job to start the third quarter. Now the offense looking to match. It's Hippa keeping it. Hippa has room inside the 30, and he slides down across the 25. It's a first down run for Blaine Hippa, who had the touchdown run in the first half, and he keeps this drive going.
That's always in his back pocket, has the ability. Little RPO. He's watching Eric Little here. Once Eric Little bit on the handoff, he just pulls it himself, takes it for the positive yards, and he's got some speed when he's out in the flat as well. He is going to be a serious threat, and he gets all the tools together.
Hands it off this time. Darion Murphy will chug ahead forward for a yard. Hippa had early scholarship opportunities from the University of Hawaii, which isn't too surprising, a talented kid growing up in Oahu, but also from Tennessee. He was offered by the SEC. You could see how that athleticism would really intrigue a lot of coaches, but Princeton, important to him, thrilled to go to New Jersey and play here and get his first opportunity to be the starting quarterback for the Tigers this season. 2nd and 9. Hippa wants to keep it himself and goes nowhere. It's Syke. Burrows him, Jacob Syke. And the Texan helps push Hippa and Princeton further back again, this time to the 29.
It's almost like the batteries died right here, and he just pressed pause. I mean, you have Jacob Syke. Trust your ability. Get to the edge. Obviously, Hippa is a super athlete. Right here, bust this outside. He just let Syke take him out, and it's now 2 drives in a row where Princeton has marched down the field, get close to the red zone, and then things start to go backwards.
Scott Larkey says that Syke is just a natural in the pass rush, the Harvard defensive coordinator. Now 3rd and 14. Hippa hit from behind. He's swallowed up by Brandon Svets. Back-to-back sacks for the Harvard defense.
Sacks in big parts of the field for Harvard. We did it at the end of the first half, the Crimson did. And they do it here in the third. This forces a long field goal. Princeton, so much momentum going down the field. Yes, they have a big boot coming out here in Jeffrey Sexton. This is going to be a challenging kick.
It would be a career long for Sexton, 50 yards. He's hit from 44 this season. Puts his foot down. The kick is up and on the way. And does it have enough? It does. 50-yard field goal. Jeffrey Sexton goes on top of his 38-yarder in the first half. And Princeton edges a little closer. It's an 11-point game. Harvard
Media
defense,
timeout
though,
on the
made
field.
sure Princeton was limited to a try for 3.
Tigers and right in it.
And this is not an easy day to kick the football with the swirling winds in high gear. Handoff on first down to the first-year Maddox Reed. 5'9", running back from Southlake, Texas. Went to Southlake Carroll and Parish Episcopal School. Made his on-field rushing debut last week against Holy Cross, and a guy that compared a little bit to Aiden Bourget in terms of his size and the type of runner he is. Somebody that Mickey Fine, the offensive coordinator for Harvard, is very excited about. He stays in the backfield with Craig as they fake it to him. Craig has a wide open Scott Woods, and that should be enough for a first down. Well, you leave that type of space. If the pass is a little bit more on target, Woods has the jitterbug style where he could break that into a big gainer.
Yeah, Princeton coaching staff knows about it because they have their own type of Scott Woods and A.J. Barber. But once again, those quick hitters, quick out routes, and one of the keys to the game for Princeton defensively was dominate the second level. They have not.
It's Reed again, right side, and he's ridden down at the 38, a pickup of 3. Craig in this game, 19 of 26, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns and an interception. Quarterback for the Crimson has continued his strong play, just the one mistake on the pick.
Yeah, just an underthrown ball. He was hit as he threw it, but he is on pace for a career day.
On second down, it's Woods. He has a blocker in front, gets the space, wiggles his way across the 40 to the 42-yard line. Gain of 4 yards. And third down upcoming for Harvard's offense. The Crimson are 4 for 8 on third down today. By the way, on the other side, Princeton is a meager 1 of 9.
Yeah, the big reason why they've been in a lot of third and long situations where they need to pass the ball, and Harvard has gotten pressure. But how about these Harvard tight ends? You can do so much with them. Seamus Gilmartin has been spread out wide as a blocker on these screens.
Crimson are not trying to burn clock as Woods gets it. They snap it as soon as they were allowed to, and it's a 6-yard gain out to the 49-yard line. And Harvard has a first down near midfield as looks like the offense is working a little bit better than it did that first drive in terms of the operation.
It just looked out of sync coming out of halftime. You saw where the very first snap went down to 1 on the play clock. This is better. Rinse, wash, repeat. Quick out routes. As a couple times Princeton has been late subbing off a 12th guy.
Just did get somebody off the field, but Harvard wasn't looking to go fast that time. Exavea Bascon explodes over the line into Princeton territory and out close to another Harvard first down as that pile keeps pushing forward. And Exavea Bascon, a man possessed, he will not go down.
Yeah, this is a connected group offensively right now with Exavea Bascon and this offensive line. And the way that Harvard's been able to pass the ball, this is going to set up the run game where you want it, late in the game when you want to choose some clock, because right now Princeton seem to put more guys, especially linebackers, out in pass coverage, so the box is softening.
And move the chains. Harvard looked like it wanted to go quickly. They put the brakes on everything, and now Todd Boyd will restart the clock. Crimson ahead by 11. Scored on their first 2 offensive drives of the day and have been in the driver's seat ever since. Big drive for Scott Woods. Tries to hurdle his way over Mason Armstead. He gets hit out of bounds. Scott Woods, fearless. That's something that Tim Murphy told us that about him a few years ago. When he was put back as a first-year returning punts, he said the guy is just fearless. He's not a big guy, 5'8", 180 pounds. He'll throw his body around out there, but still manages to protect himself.
Yeah, looked a little bit shaken up after this one. Leaving your feet, you're always susceptible those type of hits, hard landings, but staying out there, thankfully, for the Crimson.
He's in the slot on the right of the offense. Exavea Bascon goes in that direction and gets hugged down to the 33-yard line. 4-yard pickup for Bascon. He's got 48 yards on 9 carries today to lead all ball carriers. Another third down. Harvard goes quickly. Here comes a late blitz. Craig in a little bit of trouble, escapes the tackle and has a first down, and takes a hit at the end. He does not earn a flag, but boy, Jaden Craig showing the power that he has to keep to his feet when he was hit in the backfield, as we've got a Princeton player down on the play.
Yeah, it's 6'2", 215. He is so tough, especially running, extends it, and moves the chains for this promising drive for the Crimson.
Timeout on the field. You know, that was one thing Bob Serace also said, is just a great family on that Oric family tree, and he had nothing but positive things to say, so great to see that aspect of the program being enhanced by Coach Oric. Is Craig, a low pass, but a great nab by Caden Oderman. Also manages to avoid the kicking net as well. Second catch for Oderman, who had a 19-yard touchdown in the first quarter.
But such a good message from Andy Oric, Bob Serace alike. You think of a full-time job, it's 40 hours a week, and that takes you away from family for a while. But coaching, it's 24/7, 365. So a lot of time on the road, a lot of time away from family. So trying to incorporate that family-first mentality throughout the week.
Charles DePrima in at quarterback, and he hands it off. Exavea Bascon, though, is met immediately. Nasir Hill, the all-Ivy defensive back, gives him a big bear hug. And it will be third down coming from the 26-yard line, as that play went nowhere.
Yeah, this was an RPO that was destined to blow up from the start. Princeton showed some pressure, got immediate penetration. Even if Charles DePrima would have kept this himself, there was nowhere to go. Well covered by Princeton. And again, this has been that point of the field, that four-down territory for Harvard.
Ryan Osborne, the tight end, in motion. 3rd and 8. Crimson looking to get to the 18-yard line. Play clock down to 3. Craig snaps it. It's Woods. They've gone to him a lot this drive, but he will not get enough for the first down. Be marked down at the 23-yard line. Only a pickup of 3 yards. 4th down and decision time for Andy Oric. He's been one of the most aggressive coaches in FCS in terms of going forward on 4th down.
That's the end of the third quarter. Immediate timeout on the
He'll
field.
have a little bit of extra time to think about it here with the quarter break. Could be a big decision. Crimson from their own, from the Princeton 23-yard line. Exavea Bascon switches to the right of Craig on 4th down. Jaden Craig steps up. He's looking downfield. Pressure coming. He finds Oderman again. First down inside the 15. Something out of nothing, thanks to the evasiveness and the ability to buy time by Jaden Craig.
Patience, patience, patience. Keeping his eyes downfield, and it's a little peekaboo right there. Caden Oderman finally able to break. There was plenty of traffic in that area, but this is all set up by the patience of Jaden Craig, his ability to get out of the pocket, let things develop, didn't rush it right there, and it's a huge 4th down conversion.
And now on 1st down, it's DePrima again. He will give it. Bascon escapes a tackle, banged down at the 6-yard line, where he's brought down by Chase Christopher, leading tackler on Princeton this season. Gain of 6 yards on 1st down.
That 4th down call, that comes from analytics, and Andy Oric and this Harvard program, they have really embraced analytics. A field goal turns a 2-score game into a 2-score game. Trust yourself, 4th and 5. That part of the field usually tells you to go.
Harvard's trying to put Princeton in a really tough spot in the 4th quarter. Bascon! Oh, a touchdown saving tackle is made inside the 5-yard line. It was Evan Haney who prevented a score for Bascon, but it is going to be very close to a 1st down.
You just see the battle of the trenches being won by this Harvard offensive line, continuing to push up the field. Bascon isn't being touched until he's about 2 to 3 yards past the line of scrimmage.
Figure Harvard's going to have 2 chances to pick up 1 yard. It's 3rd and 1. Here is DePrima, barrels ahead, touchdown! Charles DePrima's second rushing touchdown of the season, and the New Jersey native gets Harvard to 30 points.
And that's why you go for it on that fourth down, why it tells you to go. The goal is to make it a 3-score game, and that's what Harvard does. 13:06 left, and it is a mountain to climb now for Princeton.
Kieran Core will try and make it an 18-point game. He's been perfect on his point afters and his field goal attempts today, and he continues that. Once again, back to receive, and once again, will not have an opportunity to run this ball out of the end zone.
Spend less and stream more sports with a special offer from ESPN Plus. Save $20 and get an annual subscription for the price of 9 months.
Well, for the price of 9, that's I can do that math. That's a pretty good deal.
That is a heck of a deal, especially in this economy.
Well, right now, the Tigers need the offense to be hitting up on the stock market. They are trailing by 18 points. They need 3 scores, and they start off this drive early in the fourth quarter with a run that won't go anywhere, maybe a yard. Harvard has done a great job stopping the run game, which is always number one for Scott Larkey. By the way, Scott Larkey really got a great compliment from Bob Serace when we were talking to him. He said if there was a Hall of Fame for coordinators or assistant coaches in the Ivy League, Scott Larkey would be among the very first that goes in there. He just has so much respect. He said, Andy Orrick was a smart guy. When he took over the job, he kept the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator as this sails over the hands of Luke Colella. He said, I really hated, I was hoping he would not bring Scott Larkey back because I hate going against his defenses. He didn't get his wish, and once again, his offense is being pushed by Larkey's D.
That is probably the best compliment that you can pay Scott Larkey, is saying, I was hoping I would never have to face you again. But you said it, not the case, and this Harvard defensive line, they always freshen things up. They use a ton of bodies, and you're seeing that battle of attrition favor the Crimson here in the fourth.
3rd and 9. Hippa goes down. It's Tyler Huneman as Harvard gets another sack of the signal caller for the Tigers.
Offensively, Harvard's starting to run the ball. They're establishing things with their offensive line. Defensively, how about the pass rush and the ability to beat one-on-ones defensively? Both sides of the ball, the line of scrimmage is belonging to the Crimson, and a big reason why they are tilting this game.
Harvard with 4 sacks, and they seemingly have all been very timely. Couple of sacks on 3rd down. Remember, at the end of the first half, earlier in the 3rd quarter as well, and now here early in the 4th. Have to punt it. Scott Woods, a chance to return. Dances backwards, gets a man out of his shoes, gets a block up the sideline, and skirts out of bounds inside the 40. He was helped out by a big block along the way, but is there going to be a flag coming on Jordan Dotson? I think there will be. Number 17 for Harvard, close to a block in the back, and I think this is what he's going to be called for.
Yeah, Langston Rogers was very close to it at first. He backed off, and once you get that 2 hands on the backside of the shoulder pads, it was in that area.
There is no foul for a block in the back. First down, Harvard.
Crimson.
Immediate timeout on the field.
Harvard will take over after a big run back inside the top of her all-time film preferences power rankings is Jaden Craig going for it all. Touchdown! 39 yards, Cooper Barkate right out of the timeout. Harvard pouring it on.
This was one of the times where Princeton said, all right, let's go with a little bit of man. Try and make a difference. Try and get a turnover deep in this Harvard drive. And Cooper Barkate, what do we say about him? He just burns man coverage one-on-one. Right when Craig looks that way, his eyes have to light up. No one even close to make the play, and that should do it.
Still 11:26 to go. High snap, but the point after is good from Kieran Core to make it 38-13. And Harvard cashes in on the great field position following the punt and the return by Scott Woods. And Jaden Craig connecting deep to Barkate. Another touchdown grab for Cooper Barkate, his second of the day. He's got 99 yards receiving on 6 catches. And for Craig, 3 touchdowns, 306 yards through the air. It's just hard to catch up with Cooper Barkate in the open field.
He's just a difference maker. He's a burner, and he's someone that coaching staff said after that Holy Cross game when they went to man, he just took over the game, and there's such a connection. Obviously, the roommate situation between Jaden Craig and Cooper Barkate. You remember last year, Tim Murphy saying how he thanks Cooper Barkate's sister, member Maddie, of the women's lacrosse team for getting Cooper Barkate here. Just such a difference maker.
And Harvard doing to Princeton what a couple of times the Tigers have done here at Harvard Stadium to the Crimson, piling up a ton of points and just shredding this defense for Princeton, which statistically has not been on top of its game this season. And Harvard leads by 25.
Well, we're getting close to November, and you know what that means. Harvard basketball fans, join us on Monday, November 4th for the men's and women's basketball team home openers at Levites Pavilion. Harvard men's basketball tips off against Marist at 5 p.m., followed by Harvard women's basketball versus UMass at 8 p.m. Visit gocrimson.com/tickets to purchase tickets.
Blaine Hippa comes back out onto the field. See, Jalen Gear caught a couple of big passes in that first half. He's been silent in the second half. Get you an update on the Harvard defense in just a moment after this play. It's caught over the middle, and this will be enough for a first down by A.J. Barber. So let's check in with Amanda down on the sideline with an update on that Harvard defense. Amanda?
Thanks, Alex. Well, down here on the sideline, Ty Bartram will not be returning to this game at halftime. He left the stadium with the training staff, returning in the fourth quarter, pleading his case to head coach Andy Orrick, who looked up at the score, looked back at him, and shook his head. No, he will not be returning to this game, guys.
But Jacob Syke will return to the offensive backfield. Another sack for the Texan. And he drives the Princeton offense backward after the positive play to start things.
Well, today was going to be about Jacob Syke and Alex DeGreek, the two defensive ends. How are they going to do against a left-handed quarterback? Syke, you see, he's here in pass coverage. Says, you know what? There is no one on me. The tackles were pulled to the middle, and it's a wide open run at Blaine Hippa.
Short pass, right side. Flag pops down as out to the 37-yard line goes A.J. Barber, but let's wait on the penalty.
Holding. Offense, number 87. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
This feels like one of those days and one of those second halves where Princeton is just in a maelstrom of misfortune.
Yeah, they've had some big plays that have been negated. You see Damian Henderson just getting wrestled down to the ground, bottom right of your screen by Joey Wassler. But now Harvard defensively, you have this big lead that you're nursing. 10 minutes left. This is, you just back off a little bit. You don't allow those big chunk plays for Princeton. Give them those 4- and 5-yarders. Everything needs to be earned here in the fourth.
Second and 29. Huneman drags down Hippa. Second sack in the last 2 drives for Tyler Huneman, senior from Mount Pleasant, Michigan. Had 2.5 sacks last year. He didn't have any this season until this quarter.
That's why the defensive line rotation is so important. It's the fourth quarter. These guys look so fresh because they are. How much depth the Crimson have at that position. But Harvard has rushed with 3 to 4 guys. They've dropped 7 to 8 in coverage, and Princeton has had no answer 5-on-3.
How many plays do you have in the book for 3rd and 33? Colella doesn't get nearly enough, only back to the 25-yard line, and Princeton will have to punt it here. Damian Henderson makes the tackle, And Harvard, you figure when they get this punt, will be in clock-killing mode the rest of the way. They look like they are on their way to an emphatic end to that 6-game losing streak against Princeton.
Yeah, this is a statement breakthrough in this rivalry for the Crimson. You know, there's a lot of motivation, especially for the seniors on this team that have been programmed since 2021 to really right it against the Tigers.
It was Woods' punt return that set up the last touchdown. Moves laterally. Try to find a way out, but good coverage this time by Princeton. He was completely hounded by Kayvon Miller, the sophomore from Florida.
Media timeout on the field.
And Harvard will start its possession at the 28-yard line. The sack and a gain of 6 yards on first down.
Dean Boyd, Caden Kaufman out there getting some reps late in this game, but yeah, Harvard just trying to put this one on ice.
Bascon up to 62 yards rushing today on 13 carries. Harvard as a team, 81 yards on the ground. They've done most of their damage through the air as Charles DePrima figures to have a steady diet of quarterbacking the rest of the way. With the game right now out of hand from Princeton's perspective, it'll be DePrima. Looking to race around the outside. DePrima showing off the wheels down the sideline and makes contact with Taj Owens before going out of bounds. Charles DePrima, just when you think Harvard's going to take it conservative, maybe a couple of handoffs to the running back, DePrima says, I'm in the game. I'm going full tilt.
Just leaves guys in his dust. See, linemen can't beat him to the edge. Linebackers don't have that speed to keep up with him. He's a 4-3 type guy. He is one of the best athletes on this team, and it's a reason why he's been utilized in so many different ways this season. Mickey Fine said earlier in the year, if you ask who's our best 11, you cannot hold Charles DePrima out of that best 11 category.
That run goes for 29 yards and sets up Harvard at the 35 of the Tigers. Bascon shuffling right, and a pickup of 4 yards by Bascon. You know, the two quarterback system really originated in Princeton when Bob Serace was the head coach and had James Perry, now the Brown head coach, and Andy Orrick, now the Harvard head coach, on the staff. And he said, you know, it was the Wild West as far as what we were doing with two quarterbacks. We were really winging it. But now what Harvard does, what Brown does, and maybe what we've done in the past, it's become a lot more intentional, and it's so well planned and executed.
You know, they were the pioneers, and we've seen week after week Mickey Fine just find new ways to utilize it. Last week it was Charles DePrima snapping a two-point conversion and then catching a pass.
It's DePrima after the fake. DePrima trying to shake a man out of his boots, and he's inside the 15-yard line. This will be a pickup of close to 17 yards, make it 18 yards for DePrima. Boy, and even if he had handed off to Bascon, there was a huge hole for him to go through. I'm not sure if Princeton knew who had the football here.
You see the play action to Bascon in that B gap, and it's just a great block as well up the field by Ryan Osborne. He gave DePrima options. Which way do you want to take this? He could have went either way to bust for more yards.
Bob Serace held Harvard in Mercer's category as a team that is worthy of a top 10 ranking based on the talent they have, especially offensively. And they've proven to be too much today for the Tigers. Bascon keeping his legs moving inside the 10 down to the 8-yard line for a 5-yard gain.
Well, this is another Ivy game and the second Ivy win in a row for Harvard, where the defense, not exactly a shutout here tonight like you saw against Cornell, but the defense has just clamped down opposition. And I don't think it's been anything too different schematically for Harvard. It's just been the defensive line's ability to create pressure and have Blaine Hippa playing off balance, always being chased. And the sacks have just really ramped up in this second half. And it hasn't been any added pressure. It's just been winning one-on-ones.
Play clock is drained down to 2 seconds. This is Malik Frederick spinning his way forward and close to a first down. He looks like he will be a yard shy. 3rd and 1 for Harvard's offense as they continue to drain the clock on their way to a 10th consecutive home win. The only loss this season for Harvard was that comeback by Brown that featured the bad snap on the field goal that looked like it was going to ice it. Brown scored with under 30 seconds to go in the game to take the lead, and Harvard was unable to match. That is all that is in the way of Harvard in an unblemished record this season. 4 minutes to go. It's Frederick around the left side and down inside the 1. He's got the first down. It's 1st and goal at the goal line.
And Harvard, you can just see the growth as this season's gone on. You mentioned the offensive line, just how they have grown as a unit, but just this Harvard team collectively, they had to learn a big lesson in that Brown game, a game that they were in command of, that they let slip away. They almost let it slip away last week against Holy Cross. That was not going to be the case here for Andy Orrick's team here tonight. They have left no doubt in this second half.
1st and goal. There's Frederick and the exclamation point. Touchdown Harvard. Malik Frederick, first career touchdown. Harvard up by 31 on Princeton.
That just shows you the domination that Harvard has had on the ground, on the offensive line, battle of the trenches. They went into that drive just poised to kill some clock, chew this game down. Couple of big runs from DePrima, and then a great exclamation point to finish it off with Malik Frederick. Harvard just having their way.
The Crimson exercising some demons from recent years against the Princeton Tigers. A methodical drive, and Harvard up 45-13 with just over 3 minutes away from making this one official.
Princeton, how can you betray us? How can you go to Harvard? And then Harvard, how can you hire someone from Princeton? And Andy Orrick said, listen, when it comes to coaching, you can't think about your alma mater. You got to think about what the best opportunity is for not only him, his family as well. And he knew what he was taking over in this Harvard program, just a well-established unit. Thanks to Tim Murphy and what he set up over the last 30 years, he wanted to put his imprint on that, and he just knew the brand of Harvard, what this program is. He has been a great leader through 6 games.
And he didn't shy away from the significance of this game. We asked if this game would be a little bit more important if they came away with a victory, and he said absolutely, no doubt. This is a game you want to win for a few different reasons, but the first thing he mentioned was for his team's seniors. The seniors who hadn't had that victory against Princeton. A couple of classes went by without tasting victory against the Tigers, and that was the first and foremost thing that came to his mind, but certainly for him professionally, great way for him to be introduced to this rivalry as a head coach. On 2nd and 7, a run out to the 31, and what a takedown from Harvard. That was a tackle made by Jake Darling, the sophomore. He just decided to put Christian Lynch on his seat.
Yeah, put him on a leash right there, grabbing the back of the jersey and just slowing it down. Looked like that play could have broken out for some positive yards for Princeton, but Darling, a big grab, and he snuffs it out.
Princeton doesn't look interested in getting another play off before the 2-minute timeout. So he will let the clock run. Blaine Hippa, and it will be 45-13.
That's a 2-minute timeout. Media timeout on
as
the field.
we go to our final break. Harvard in command. And
only chasing in the Ancient 8.
3rd and 4 from the 31. As Blaine Hippa tries to put together some bit of momentum heading into next week. He's got a first down before he gets ripped down to the turf. Tackle made by Harvard defensive back Jack Donahoe, sophomore from White Plains, New York. And first down for the Tigers at the 40-yard line.
Definitely some things to improve on for Hippa, but we've said it all night. The tools are there. He's got the arm strength, the arm talent. He has the ability to extend plays, super athletic, just about honing that in setting him up for success, especially early in a game, because you got to wonder where the confidence is at for him. 12 interceptions this year.
Kenny Jordan drilled down as Princeton looks like it's just going to run out the remainder of this minute and 20 seconds. For Harvard, will continue a winning streak at home. Be 10 in a row here at Harvard Stadium. Jordan to the outside, escapes one tackle, and he's knocked down at the 44-yard line. And boy, for Harvard, you know, we talk about a cathartic performance today. Losing 6 in a row against Princeton, playing some really good games against the Tigers, some games where they didn't play at their best during that 6-game losing streak.
Yeah, Harvard has 50 guys on the field right now. Miscommunication on the substitution, but Princeton sub, so not allowed to start this play, so they'll allow Harvard to complete it.
3rd and 6 could be the final play of this game. It is on the ground, and only out to the 47-yard line goes the backup running back, Christian Lynch, and that should do it. Final 20 seconds. The Harvard Crimson, under a new head coach, a Princeton man turned Harvard man, facing his alma mater and his old coaching staff for the first time, and his team engineers a 32-point blowout win over Princeton.
That's the end of the game.
The Crimson snapped the 6-game skid against the